Hey y'all, it's Kalari here with hopefully what will be the last commentary in this twisted saga because it really is that. And I want to just say that a lot of the information I got was actually from watching the tipster video where he broke down everything Shannon has done and pretty much did an in-depth breakdown of how ridiculous this comeback or alleged just trying to clear her name was and everything in between. And the reason why I went and I watched people's commentaries on it is I don't want to give Shannon views. I think enough people did. According to Tipster thing that I watched last night, over 100,000 views. And I don't think you understand that you are just helping a very abusive person in that situation. I did not want to do that. Matter of fact, I had got into the mindset of forgetting about who she was. And I think that is exactly why that MPD personality of hers just couldn't handle it. And she came back with what she thought was a vengeance, and it landed as well as wet flatulence as far as I'm concerned. The fact of the matter is, she did everything that I warned in my previous assessment of her supposedly coming back. And for those of you listening to this commentary wondering what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you as brief history of this situation so that I can fully tell you why the supposed defending of herself and her disgusting partner's honor is ridiculous. Now, this CreepShow Art person, Shannon, as her name is supposedly, is a young woman who did art commentary. I used to lurk in the art community on YouTube because I love watching people draw and I love the story times. She was a big time creator in that, where she shared a lot of her personal stories, but then she branched out to start talking about social issues, which I didn't always gel with. I felt like something was off about it, so I never followed her. I just every once in a while caught one of her story times, and it was either a hit or a miss, and a lot of times it was more of a miss. Decent artwork, but there was always something off about her. And that other creators that I followed started saying the same thing. And there was a lot of drama behind her stuff that made me go, yeah, I'm glad I don't really support this person because there's always something that felt off about Shannon, aka Creepshow Art. There was another creator at the time that I got confused with her because their styles and stuff was so similar. And I watched a lot of her stuff because she does a lot of Day to Dead and kind of macabre artwork that I am into personally. So it was just weird that I never really put the two and two together. And like I said, with me and YouTube, especially back in the day, I did a lot of lurk watching. I don't really engage due to, social anxiety of being online can sometimes be overwhelming, especially on YouTube, and I don't like clicks, so I just don't really talk to anybody. I'll watch their videos, I'll give a like, I'll do what I can to be bare minimum. But I like this creator's work, and her name I found out was Emily, and she calls herself Emily Artful. So I put Emily to the side for now because I want to go back to Shannon's story. Shannon would talk about being homeless. She would relate to being abused. She had a whole story about being stalked. She just seemed like somebody who I would normally want to know more about and support, but there was still that off vibe that I got from her. And like I said, it's just how I feel about what people say and what they don't say. And like I said, with all the social stuff and going after people too, there was just something off. But she was friends with a lot of people I thought was cool on YouTube. And that's where the downfall started. And it was around the end of May that Shannon started getting busted on a lot of little things. And that was after a whole big actual petty drama with her in the art community and another creator called Peaches happened. But Shannon was supposedly going to a forum and talking shit about people, complaining about family members, self promoting things that the site was really against. And they warned her, if you don't stop doing this, we're going to expose you. Shannon, being somebody I feel truly suffers from NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder, just she wouldn't stop. And of course, instead of handling the locale thing like an adult, because a lot of us who have issues with how we handle things, whether it's mental or just a neurotypical personalities, we do things and then we don't want to take responsibility for them if we're not getting help. And I know back in the day, especially when I was younger, forums were a big way to vent. I was a part of a gaming forums where you could talk smack about other players, where you could talk smack about the developers. And I even got into an argument back and forth with the person who created the site because that's just how it was. You could be hostile, you could, vent in a way you wanted to. So I don't think there's a lot of people who are innocent online, from going into places where you could get that cliquish, gang up on people. I think the problem with this CreepShow Art slash Shannon is she wears a lot of mask with her personality. She wanted to convey herself as this caring, socially inclined, sticking up for the marginalized type person. But then to let off steam, she would go to these boards and say awfully hateful stuff. And not just hateful stuff against the people she was supposedly standing up for, but her friends too. So when she got busted, we thought this would be the biggest fallout, but it opened the floodgates to show just how twisted Shannon's personality is. She literally carbon copied this Emily Artful that I talked about a few minutes earlier's life. And when you piece together the wheres and the whys, it is such a weirdly, oddly fixated tale of a young woman who just could not stand that this person was with the person that she loves. And when you have NPD, winning is a thing, accusing people of the things that you're doing is a thing. Deflecting responsibility is a thing. And the crazy thing is, her mask of self depreciation is just that. And I say this as a sociopath. You will do anything you can to make yourself seem one way, thinking that you're hiding your true self well enough and thinking people are stupid. And her supposed, defense, because she swears it's not a comeback. And everything I heard in Tipster's replay, which thank goodness he did it, and he was rightfully so angry at a lot of her lashing out towards the end of her video, which I'm going to discuss as well, because I feel like it's a big part of her having NPD, is she just wanted to make it clear that she wasn't coming back, that she's upset at anybody who said to her that they don't care that she did it, they just want her back. She's literally mad at her fans for not believing that she's the innocent party in this. But it's like I said in my last few takes on her. The fact that she's digging. She literally went back 16 years ago to try to sling dirt on Emily Artful to make herself look good, and it just comes across as not only desperate but stalkerish. And I know people will counter, well, Emily Artful did a 2-hour video where she unpacked 10 years of harassment. Yeah, she unpacked 10 years of harassment by both Anthony and the person that she didn't even realize was CreepShow slash Shannon at first. She also never, in the 2-hour video, almost 6 months ago, no, matter of fact, 6 months ago, that Emily Artful did, ever tried to portray herself as an innocent victim. She went into detail about her drug use. She went into detail about being a cam girl, which I'm going to unpack why Shannon's attack of that was so vulgar. She went into detail about being a pick me girl, being vicious, being mean back in the day when she was younger. There was a lot of really raw emotion that Emily put forth when she explained the whole reason she felt that both Shannon and this so called Anthony guy were troubling her life for over a decade. And what bothers me about Shannon's comeback and alleged 2.5 hour takedown is she not only bragged about having a 91-page script full of stuff that people could read. Her ranting about that is insane to me, but the fact that she went back 16 years to try to discredit Emily based on character assassination means she has nothing else. And she was throwing a lot of terms about it being a legal thing and how she's attacking this legally, and I think Tipster made it very succinct, but I'm going to reinforce this because I think she feels that people are stupid and she feels she's smarter than everybody, and she could say that she has a legal leg to stand on because she might have found a lawyer that would take her supposed case. But I'm going to tell you something as an older woman and an adult who has dealt with family who are very sue happy, who has watched people fight over property and everything else. Any lawyer will take a case because they'll make money from it. You don't have a legal standing or standpoint until a judge makes that decision. And I guarantee you that any judge that sat and looked at all the evidence that both Shannon and Emily presented them would A, think both of these young women probably need help in whatever mental struggles they're having, but that Shannon literally spent almost a decade and a half stalking and harassing Emily Artful and literally carbon copied her life. Everything from demeanor, art style, sharing of stuff in the story time. Everything was copied to be Emily, but a better Emily so that she could stick it to her. Now, when I originally dived into this commentary about this, I made it clear that Anthony is definitely the catalyst. He was the one doing a lot of the stalking, and Shannon incorporated that not only to please him, but because she viewed Emily as a target, as somebody she could easily pick on, as somebody to hate because she was unworthy of Anthony's attention. And then I felt like the ultimate catalyst wasn't that whole weird music thing because, once again, and I will make it clear, the music is crap. And I think that a lot of the whole he's a brilliant thing, y'all need to stop because you've gassed this man's head up. And as somebody who likes alternative and rock music, this was no, it wasn't it. But I feel like his alleged, because I have to use the word alleged, because we don't know what really happened or what went on. Emily herself said that was a really bad time for her back in the day. She was under the influence a lot, but she is adamant that she was assaulted by this Anthony person, and I feel like it was credible. She had absolutely no reason to say that this stuff happened. It would cause her more damage to admit it. And as a survivor myself, it is not easy talking about what happened to you, but she had to put it together and explain the years of harassing and going after her job, which Shannon tried to debunk and ended up looking even worse because she literally went back to Emily's days in freaking, I think it was middle school even, where she had a crush on the teacher and was a little bit, really over the moon for this teacher and couldn't accept the fact that this older man didn't feel the same way about her. And as somebody who in high school had a crush on a teacher who drew out little doodles and notes, and he found out about it, and he was so sweet about gently reminding me that I'm a student, he's a teacher, that kind of relationship wouldn't happen. It can be hard when a teacher is very, adamant that no, you cannot feel that way about me. And she didn't take it the right way, Emily, but she was a child. So I don't understand why Shannon, aka CreepShow, even brought that up. But she also kept bringing up that Emily was a cam girl and that her abusers couldn't have forced her. And it's like, how would you know that? You were not there. And even if, because my brain is constantly analyzing stuff. And I know that when I did a lot of bad things when I was lashing out before I started getting help for a lot of my problems, it was easier for me to say it wasn't me. Somebody else made me do these things because I didn't want to take responsibility for awful things I did. Whether or not Emily was forced to be on cam, whether or not she was exploring her sexuality and just wanted to see how far she can go, whether or not she did an anime review in the bathtub, there is no reason to shame somebody for exploring what they can online, and we need to get away from that. Shannon obviously couldn't because, like I said, she sees Emily as her target. And one of the things I need people to understand about how twisted this saga is that she could have just walked away. She was really done, like she said at the beginning of that god awful 2.5 hour long supposed takedown of the person who lied about her, which no, she didn't prove anything in that awfully long video. And I'm gonna watch others' commentaries on it because, of course, she's getting what she wants. All of us have her name in our mouths again. And I'm hopeful that after this, I won't have to make any more commentary about it because it's just a sad end to a very twisted story. She went on Instagram, of course, to rant about it as well and to yell at Tipster. And I'm not a huge Tipster fan. I want you to understand this. The whole reason why I watched his commentary is A, they were friends. B, he was very thorough in everything he found wrong. He also has made it clear that he still does not full on believe all the allegations that were sling back and forth between the two parties. He was trying to be as neutral as he could about this. I'm not that into T commentary channels as it is, but I watched him during this saga because of his close ties to then Creepshow Art, and I watched how she turned on him after she told him, don't defend me, after she also, would not reveal the so-called evidence that she had to clear her name when this was supposedly a friend. She completely went on this rampage about how he supposedly assaulted and bothered her husband when all he made was a YouTube comment on a page that this Anthony guy completely stripped, or Andrew. I don't know this guy's real name. I call him the bad music guy. But they went clearing a lot of stuff thinking they were going to cover it up. And they didn't. It looked suspect. And all the so called evidence, like I said in my previous commentary on this whole twisted saga, was stuff that a normal person shouldn't have. Like, even if you wanted to go back, David, even if you hated somebody, because there's only one person in my life I've ever felt that much hate and revulsion for, and I'm at the point in my life where I just don't want to feel anything for that person anymore. I can't imagine going back 16 years, which I literally could with the person that I cannot stand, to find dirt on them. And she had the kind of dirt that not only was deleted, but lines up with Emily's talk about how a lot of these weird sock accounts kept going in, taking her account information, locking her out of Facebook, and with Shannon's so-called email evidence that she was the one that stalked, I want you to remember that Shannon has a lot of sock accounts. This Anthony guy had a lot of sock accounts. Fabricating evidence would be the least of the awful things that Shannon, aka Creepshow, would do to supposedly prove that she's the victim here. And that was the full fucking narrative that she tried to hammer home for 2.5 hours. I am so glad that oops, microphone. did not spend those 2.5 hours watching that, because just watching the tipster review of that supposed exoneration of her character was infuriating on so many levels. But the fact that Shannon did not remotely come correct in how she handled this situation, making herself out to be the victim, lying about her legal standing, talking about this is why she had to come out, and literally spending 2.5 hours slamming Emily's character, her life choices, which Emily was upfront in her original video. Now, allegedly, because I've been staying off Twitter for a mental health break, I'm coming back, y'all. Don't worry, you know. But Emily did a thread about how she's going to respond, and Tipster was like she shouldn't do it, his opinion, of course. I feel like when you have been stalked for almost freaking 16 years by two really awful people, you're going to want to fight. And as much as I would rather see Emily move on, be happy, because that for me is probably the worst thing that could happen to Shannon, is Emily continue to go on, do the things she loves, be happy, be healthy, continue with her career and be the better person. I feel like if it was me and I had gone through that level of harassment, that level of somebody trying to continuously beat me up with my past mistakes, oh, it would be on. It would totally be on. And I'm conflicted because I feel like Emily is going to end up playing into Shannon's hands if she gives this too much more time and attention. But I can understand her anger. I can understand how fed up she is of this abusively toxic situation. And I really feel that Shannon thought she gave this enough time and space before she made her supposed return to test the waters to see how people will react to the stuff she said. And she gave 2.5 hours of nothing but rambling against the person that has been her target for almost 2 decades now. And we, as viewers, especially outsiders, need to understand that Shannon needs help. She really, I feel, has a lot of undiagnosed mental health issues, and that I really hope that Emily and her family stay safe from both Shannon and her bad musician husband, because this situation is not just petty art drama. That was something I heard on Tips' stream. Not that he was calling it that. I want to make that clear. I feel like that was thrown around by a lot of his people in his comments, and it's not petty art drama. This is serious mental health issues. This is a serious issue of stalking. This is a serious issue of a man that couldn't let go and had a lot of fun harassing somebody online and then got his partner in on that. Or maybe his partner wanted in on it. I don't know. All I know is that 16 years of compiling dirt and continuously bothering somebody that you supposedly don't like, didn't have ties to, the gotcha that I said in my first video on this, of how she tried to act so sweet. If somebody accused me and the person I love of stalking and harassment, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, dude, give me your information and I'll work with you. I would be like, bitch, what are you accusing me of? No, Shannon really thinks that she is playing mental 3D chess with everybody because her personality cannot allow her to take this L. And it was a big L. And anybody with a functioning, rational brain would tell you this is an L for you. The locale stuff, the fact that you carbon copied Emily's life, the fact that you cannot let go of this thing, it is an L, Shannon, and you need to get help. And I feel like you are not surrounded by people who will allow you to get the help. But I'm telling you one thing, if you even remotely care about this CreepShow art person, y'all need to stop giving her views. You need to let her personality, whatever this mask persona has, just go away, because giving her this attention is only going to fuel a supposed comeback and have her act like she's done nothing wrong. And everything about this story has been wrong. But like I said, this is the way I want to wrap any part that I give to this up, because honestly speaking, I feel like I'm dogpiling on somebody who really needs mental health help. And as somebody who has lived with mental health issues, somebody who gets help, who has this good support system, it makes me sad that this isn't the case for her right now. And it's obvious because of the constant ranting, because of that 2.5 hour video, that she is going full bore, that she is the victim, that she needs to be understood, and that it's everybody else, not her, and it's not healthy. Shannon, you need help. You need really deep, unpacked, professional help. You and your husband need to leave Emily Artful alone. This situation needs to die for real. It needs to stop. And people need to not harass anybody involved in it, because there are a lot of things that I feel is just desperation, a desperate need to be accepted, a desperate need to be liked, and this phony fakery that three people have put on to portray themselves in a certain light. And I feel like out of the three of them, the only person that really came from a place of true hurt and just trying to survive stuff was Emily. And I feel like the other two just dogpiled and tried to twist and hurt her with that. She made a lot of mistakes in her past. I am not defending any of the harmful, hurtful things that Emily did in her past, but she didn't shy away from that. And she's not just trying to say, hey, I'm the only victim here. She made it clear that everything she did in her past, she owns up to it, but she's not going to continue to allow herself to be victimized by it. And I think that by continuously talking about it and letting Shannon's narrative float on, we are helping victimize Emily more. So I do not want to give any more attention to this after this commentary, but I just wanted those of you who follow me to understand why I felt this story was so interesting and sad. And it really is a sad story. That is the whole take you should have from this. It is three people who have talents in some ways, except that music guy. I don't care what you say. I don't feel he's talented at all. And I feel like his obsession with Emily definitely was the catalyst of all this. But Shannon had artistic abilities, enough so that she could completely copy Emily's style in life. Emily has artistic abilities. Like I said, I love her more macabre, Day of the Dead style art stuff that she was doing. I feel like three people who really should leave each other the fuck alone keep getting drawn back together by this toxic, abusive NPD disorder stuff, and this needs to stop. And we all need to realize that Shannon and Anthony truly need to get help, and they need to leave Emily alone, because if anything, they ruined what was a lucrative career behind this obsession. They legitimately took something that was making them decent revenue and just threw it away, because you can't stop being this petty, obsessive, awful person towards somebody who has made their life better. And hopefully, the take that you get from all this is not to go and harass anybody, not to bother anybody. I'm not going to respond to CreepShow at all. I avoid her channel like the plague. I just want her to go get help. And that is the main take from all this. She needs help. Anthony needs help. And Emily, if you're listening to this, I am so proud of the fact that you came out, spoke your truth, and that you're moving on. Be happy. Continue to create amazing art and love your family. That is the best thing you can do. The best thing you can do when you are hated by somebody, especially unreasonably so, and I say this as a marginalized person who has dealt with unreasonable hate, just living your best life is the best thing you can do to get revenge on them. So, Emily Artful, if in any small chance you made it through all of this and you ever listened to this, live your best life, girl. You deserve it after everything you've been through. And I am so sorry that you have dealt with and continue to deal with this focus, this toxic focus on your life. And that's it. I just want to wrap it up by saying, getting help is the most important thing in this story, because I feel like a lot of therapy and psycho therapy is needed for everybody involved in this story. And I will be back with an actual live with my actual face mental health chronicles sometime this week. But my kid has stuff to do school wise, so I'm gonna wrap this up. It's been almost 30 minutes as it is, but this story was just so crazy that I could not. I just had to give my opinion on it. And like I said, I'm just an old woman. This is my outsider perspective. As somebody who's lurked in the art community, this twisted tale just made absolutely no sense to me. But it is not petty art drama. This is some seriously effed up stuff. And hopefully this will signal the end of the Creep Show slash Shannon art drama, because wow, just amazingly bad. But thank y'all for tuning in, and I will see you on my next cast. Thank you.